the deck profile. So now that I actually have better quality, this is a cubic deck profile that we did do a previous deck profile on, but the quality was terrible. So here's a redo. This is currently how it sits. This is how it sat before. This version I'm not going to go over the extra deck. There's really no extra deck to it other than like Gustav Max. I barely even use Gustav. The reason I ever used Gustav was to save myself from killing myself with Lone Crimson Nova. But, getting into the deck profile, obviously we have to have triple Crimson Nova. It's our boss monster of the deck. You can't have the boss monster. Can't have a deck without the boss monster. You can reveal 3 cubics in your hand to special summon it. When it attacks and destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it gets to attack again. And then at the end of it's also unaffected by monster effects with 3,000 or less original attack. And at the end of the turn, both players take 3,000 damage. That effect can only be used once, so you can't have triple Crimson Nova and deal 9,000 to both players. Duza, mill 1 card from the deck to the 1 cubic card from the deck to the grave. Beyond that, you're really not going to use its effect. You're going to get rid of it to summon your other stuff if need be. You would want to send Karma or Dharma, depending on whichever case you're in best. If need be, you can send a trap card too, but the traps, in my opinion, don't have the best grave effect. Triple Vajam, the Cubic Seed. Well, no, there is one trap, the Unification of the Cubic Lords, that you would want to send. But Vajam, it's the core of the deck. You can't run Cubics without Vajam, unless it's in Duel Links, and then you can use a Dimension Summon skill and kill him on one turn, which is beautiful. But if you'd like to see that, let me know. I would not mind doing. I started to do recording, but I don't know. My phone has problems acting up when I'm trying to record, and it doesn't record voice during a screen recording. If you watch the Nexus tools, that's on my computer. And how you can tell the Nexus, or I'm on my computer over my phone, is other than the actual content in the computer, but I also have thumbnails for the ones on the computer, and not thumbnails for the one on the phone, because I can't set a thumbnail on the phone. But, next, triple Dark Garnix. Tribute 1 cubic to summon it, and then you can, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon 2 Vajam from your grave and add Blade Garuda. Same thing goes for Garagaya, except it's 800 attack, and when it enters the battlefield, it inflicts 800 damage. And this one is only if it battled. This one I think it's... yeah. The Garagaya is when it battles. Dark Garnix is when it destroys. Same thing's going to go for Blade Garuda with Dark Garnix and Vulcan Dragny with Gale. Gili. Can't pronounce that name. 2,000 attack and 2 attacks. And when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon 3 from your graveyard and add Buster Gundil to your hand. Vulcan Dragny is the same way as Gili, but it's 1,600 attack, deals 800 burn when summoned, and instead of when it gets battled, you can add Endora Doomvolt, the Cubic Emperor. Something I like about Cubics is you can either go the offensive route, the burn route, or you can set them for both. I like doing both, so I have more options. Next, Buster Gundil and Endora Volt, 800 damage and summon, 3k, and 3 attacks. Takes 3 monsters for each, and when this one battles, or gets destroyed, both of them when they get destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 3 cubic monsters from your graveyard and then add any cubid card from your deck to your hand. 24, 3000 attack. Move on to our last monster. Summoner Monk, so we can get our plays going. There's a bunch of spells in here we could discard, and most of the spells, any of the cubic spells, have an effect in the graveyard. Moving on to the spells, got triple cubic karma. When it's activated, this is more for the grave effect, but when it's activated, you can target one cubic monster you control, send up to 3 Vajam from your hand and or deck to the graveyard, and it gains 800 attack for each, which would be a max of 2400. And then you can banish it from your graveyard to add any cubic monster from your deck to your hand. You're going to mill that with, or send that with, Duza. Cubic Wave. Doubles one of your monsters, cubic monster's attack, and halves your opponent. It's like a Ryoroku or something like that. Ryoroku. Except instead of yours gaining as much as they're halved, yours just doubles your own. Then you can banish it from grave, and any number of cubic monsters from your graveyard, and then target face-up monster your opponent control equal to the number of banished, and place a cubic counter on them. That would be useful if it was a quick effect, but it's not, so I'm not really going to use that for its effect, but it is there if needed, like they summon a 5-headed dragon. Very bad example, but 2 cubic Dharma. This card is very useful. I just don't like seeing it too much. I've seen it too many times. You can discard a cubic card to draw a card, and then you can banish it from your graveyard and add 1 cubic card from your grave to your hand. It's the opposite of Karma for that effect. Next, and I am actually missing one of these, but we're going to triple Foolish Burial Goods. Don't have a third one, so we're actually going to take that out since there's another alternative. You can send a spell trap from your deck to the grave. You can only activate it once per turn. Set Karma to get your plays going. Next, we have 2 Twin Twisters, or what would be one of the Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Twin Twister. I'd rather go with Twin Twister. I did originally have Upstart Goblin, but I decided Twin Twisters was better because the deck really doesn't have any much spell trap destruction, and I find it crazy weird that I've been hit with a Mirror Force so many times and screwed up my field. Next up, Cubic Ascension. Beautiful trap card. Crazy good. Don't downgrade this card. Not running it at 3 because what it does is when your opponent attacks, special summon a cubic or a Vajam and forces it to attack into that. If you already drew Vajam or sent Vajam to the grave with an effect, then you're going to have a dead one of these. It's graveyard effect. If your life points are at least 2,000 higher than your opponent, banish from your grave, special 1 Vajam from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then, if your opponent controlled a monster, when this effect is activated, special summon 2 more. So if you're like in a strong lead, then they're pretty much untouchable. But that's if your life points are higher than your opponent's, and I find that odd, because there's not a lot of effects that do that. I mean, there's Romages, but 2 cubic casualties. Issue any number of cubic counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls, up to the number of cubic monsters you control. Banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 cubic monster you control. This turn, each time it destroys a monster by battle that has a cubic counter, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster. The banish effect is good. First effect is pretty good. That's kind of like what I wanted out of like wave. But that's the first effect is what I wanted out of wave for the second. And for the last one, I mean this one really doesn't matter. I was gonna put in Dark World Dealings. I have them right here actually, but I decided not to. Dark World Dealings is not a bad option either. You're just taking a large chance that you can't afford to take, really, on how inconsistent this deck is. I'm going to do 2 Unification of the Cubic Lords. When Unification is played, you can send... You can Fusion Summon, we're not Fusion Summoning even though still have Crimson Nova Trinity in here just for the sake of Crimson Nova Trinity. But, as I said, the extra deck doesn't really matter. The only time we're going to ever actually go into the extra deck is to Gustav to save our behinds. Or Sky Palace King Garadai. But you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring summoning conditions. You can only do that when a cubic monster is destroyed by battle. Or leaves the field. I didn't just say leaves the field. But I mean, yeah. Which is really useful because you can have stupid fly. Sorry if a fly flies in front of the camera. But you can have that be very useful because of many reasons actually. But returning something is returned to the hand like Owner's Seal that's in my For Hire deck. Then you get to activate that special summon. All sorts of stuff like that. Very useful. But that is the redo of the cubic deck profile. Now it's time to shovel this thing into next week. Look forward to another video today. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Most likely will. Probably won't. Alright. Peace out.